Teotihuacan has been a mystery ever since the Aztecs ran into it during their pilgrimage around the 15th century. They found enormous monuments that had been damaged and abandoned for at least 700 years. Their magnitude had them so baffled that they figured it could only have been inhabited by gods, hence the name they gave it in Nahuatl, which means the city where one becomes a god. This also inspired the Aztec myth of creation, which tells how all the gods gathered in this city to make a sacrifice for the sun to come out once again and give way to a new era, ours. My name is Diego Rivera, and these are 8 shots from Teotihuacan. Workers from the 1900s said that while reconstructing the 2 biggest monuments of the city, something interesting happened. After finishing the Pyramid of the Moon, they set out to restore the Pyramid of the Sun. They piled the last stone in place, but then the Pyramid of the Moon fell apart. They went back, they put it together, and surprise, the Pyramid of the Sun fell to pieces. Utterly confused, they came to the conclusion that these pyramids must have been constructed in a perfect balance, so they coordinated to rebuild them at the same time, leaving them how they are today. The Pyramid of the Moon stands at the northernmost point of the city, and it was built in 7 stages expanding some 100 years. Contrary to what the Aztecs saw in it, this building was most likely dedicated to Teotihuacan, the female companion to the patron god of the city and most enduring divinity of Mesoamerica, Tlaloc, god of storms and thunder. It is said that if you trace a line from the top of the mountain behind the pyramid, go through the pyramid, and then continue all the way south, you would end up in today's Mexico City. Just next door is a neighborhood that scholars have associated with the priestly elite. It has very well preserved murals and holds an architectural treasure inside of it, the Courtyard of Pillars. This is a reconstruction made in the 1960s that restored the stone battlements that crown red-painted friezes, which frame the pillars below, decorated with carved volcanic stone depicting quetzals to the east and owls to the west, looking at sunrise and dawn respectively. Buried underneath is a temple that shows the pre-Hispanic custom of making buildings on top of each other, just as we mentioned in the Pyramid of the Moon. This adoratory is related to a feathered snail and has decoration similar to the pillars from above. Counterintuitively though, I was more interested in an unearthed chamber that lets sunlight bathe its interior and trace a powerful silhouette that evokes the mysterious and sacred atmosphere of this ancient city. Continuing to the south, there's an enormous avenue that stretches 2.5 miles long to connect the religious part of the metropolis. The Aztecs called it Street of the Dead because when they saw the platforms that run parallel to the avenue, they imagined tombs for the kings that ruled this mysterious city. They show the particular Teotihuacan architectural style called talud tablero, which consists of a series of ramps interrupted by a step with a staircase axis at the center. Walking along this road, it's impossible to miss the biggest monument of the city and the second biggest pyramid in Mesoamerica, the Pyramid of the Sun. This emblematic monument baffles the mind even to this day, not only because of its excessive dimensions of 700 feet by side and almost 200 feet tall, but also because it was built all at once. It wasn't built by stages like the Pyramid of the Moon. Scholars say that it would take 13,000 men working all week long to finish it in 140 years, which says a lot about government control, but also the importance of gods and their adoration. While the Aztecs probably associated it with with the sun because of its orientation towards the dawn, archaeologists recently found a stone deity figurine called Teotihuacan, god of fire, who comes from all the way south of today's Mexico City, from a settlement that was buried by lava long before Teotihuacan was built, which might suggest how the city might have begun to be inhabited. This, along with fire traces in the platform in front of it, indicates that a fire deity used to be adored in this place. And also, Spanish accounts tell how the Aztecs also used to march thousands of miles to celebrate the rite of the new fire every 52 years. So it would be more appropriate to refer to it as the Pyramid of Fire. Lastly, we finish our visit at the southernmost point in the city, in a vast vein surrounded by walls that guard the other icon of this city, the Temple of the Feathered Snake. This is probably the most popular artwork from Teotihuacan because it has been copied extensively to depict Mexican identity along with the Aztec sunstone. To be fair, they are magnificent. These heads seem to bloom from a flower and stare at you with an uncanny expression that can be mistaken for a dragon. Looking closely, we can see their bodies running along the panels in relief, and at the end a rattle tail, so this is a rattle feathered snake. They are joined by other symbols such as seashells and another mask that was thought to be the aforementioned patron god Tlaloc, but more recently it is thought to be Cipactli, a reptile monster that used to roam the waters in our world before our era in the Aztec myth of creation. It's important to note that this facade was covered by another building with no decoration at all, which according to archaeologists could suggest an act of censorship after a struggle for power. This fight is depicted in a mural that shows fantastic animals such as coyotes, birds, jaguars, and feathered snakes fighting with each other. They could represent the different neighborhoods that used to inhabit this diverse city and could explain the mystery of its abandonment. Even after some 100 years of research, Teotihuacan still holds a lot of secrets. Some of them have been unveiled by findings in the site, but many others have come from faraway places, thousands of miles in South America, in Maya cities that account the arrival of Teotihuacan explorers that eventually came to power and governed important cities such as Tikal. This led to an intense cultural and economic interchange that left iconic Teotihuacan artwork down south and also created the Maya neighborhood in Teotihuacan, which we'll be exploring next time. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, share it with your friends, tell me which was your favorite photo, and also tell me what other pre-Hispanic city you would like to discover. Feel free to support the channel by becoming a Patreon or buying a frame print of the photos. I'll leave the details in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.